Hello, this is Max Drake. I'd like to talk about this app, which is basically a conference app, and I'm templating it based on Gang Yao's, and I hope I've said that right, his app here, which I think is seriously cool. I also noticed that he's been changing it over time. One thing that has intrigued me is to how he's actually done this last page. It has different structures all on the one page, and yet it's basically a list. And also the different images and stuff. I think he's done a really nice job with this one. So well done, that lad. I go to meetups on Python meetups. I don't use that much, but I do like Python as a language, stuff that I've done so far. So somebody else wants to take this app over, and that's fine by me. But how to convey what the structure is. Templating's just started to come through with Glide, and I think it's a bloody good idea. Great way to pass the information on to somebody else. George B mentioned that he would build and let somebody maintain, and this is an idea of you build and then you pass it on to somebody else to use. So first of all, Gang Yao has got a lovely app here. Very, very good. Well done. And I put a link through to that. I have put a link through to that through at the beginning. The second one I actually want to talk about is this. Now, I just really want to go through of how do I share this with somebody else so that they can build the same app. So you can give them the Excel sheet, sorry, not the Google sheet on the thing, but you can't give them the app. You can't show them how the guts of all of this part are not showing up on that of how you actually build it up. So what I was intending to do was to actually just build it from scratch. So what I thought I'd do was I just drag this part of the screen across to here and start a new app. Now straight away we can just select a file and we can go to the Python, which is the Google Sheets that we're going to be using. So straight away that's going to go and think about it now, and it's going to create whatever comes through. Now all it's doing whenever it starts is it just goes to the Google Sheets, sees what's on the sheet, the first sheet, and it just looks at all the sheets on there and starts grabbing info and trying to build stuff based on that. Now I'm just going to go back to the Glide app. I'm going to reduce this one down here because the important point is what happens in this components. So this allows the components to come through. Now right at the very top I've got an image. So here it's got an image, but it's come through as a link, which we don't want. So first of all we would actually just go in and we would just say image, and then we'd say the image is and this is where you need to go back to the sheet again, and it's the image is the image there. So it's actually the image, and I think I've got it as small, and I've got show the whole image and from edge to edge. So that's come through, but we don't see it here because the first thing that's actually happened is it's gone to the bottom. So we actually have to drag that all the way to the top. And so that's where we've got the image. So if we come back to the Glide app, we've got that image there, but it doesn't seem to be the right one. So I must have another image in there. So we can just go back through and see what other image is. So let's just try image 2. And image 2 is the one that we want. So that's where that one's come from. The second one that we've got is that we've got the summary. So the summary has come through and it says go and look at the title. So we've gone through to the title page here and we've just said title is that one there. So it's going to grab that text and made it bold. And the second one is where it's going to be held. So we've got the location through there. So if we go back to there, no, we haven't got the location. We've got the dates. So on the dates, that one there has gone through and then it's showing that information through there. At the moment it's still showing, whoops, got that one wrong. So that one should be title and that one there should be dates. So that's where we've got that from there. Now we've got all these other ones through here and they're linking and doing weird stuff that we don't really want. The next one we've actually got is an image that we're jumping through. So unfortunately it's not showing up on that one. So what we'll actually just do is we just blow all of these other ones away. So that's where we start again. So we just come through, and the next one there is actually an image, and we want to find out, and it's not the first image again. Let's try for image number 3, and no, that's another image of that. So let's try image number 4. I'm guessing because I haven't been on there. Sorry, no, let's actually have a look through there. It's got Pipitier Campus or Rutherford House. So Rutherford House is the one. So instead of large, I've actually got small, and I've got show the whole image so that it comes through. It doesn't look particularly pretty, and we've got the style edge to edge, or we can actually have insert with comment style there, but we can add an action, and the add an action is enlarge image. So if we go back to there now, if we click on that image, it'll enlarge, and then we can close back on that again. So that's what we want. So the next one is that we want a couple of links, that we're going to a couple of web pages there. So we're actually just going to, sorry, those links there. I tend to use buttons, and then I tend to use the fill button, but other people use the things. And what we actually want to do is that we want to KiwiCon web page. So I'll go to URL, and I think I'm just going to click on that one there and see where that takes us. Python there, so we just don't want that one. So if we just click on that one there, it's going to the same place, so that's fine there. So we've changed the text in here, so that is now saying Kiwi, Python, etc. blah blah blah. We don't care. It comes through for that. So that's how we made that button. And again, the next one is that we're adding another button through there. That could be, the choice with that is that instead of a button, we could instead use a link, which looks like that. And instead of, and it could be register, or else we can say the button there. So if we just go back up, whoops, wrong one, thank you very much. So we've just got to go back to that second button and say that that is the register button. And the register and all of those are whatever my titles are through here. So they're my sort of references that I need to actually say where they're going to. Somebody else might actually name them completely differently. That's fine as well. So I'll just leave that as a register button, and that's got register for that, so it doesn't matter. And then the last one that we've got down here, well, we've got a few other things happening down here. First of all, we've got the map. So let's just go through and grab that, and we're going to go map. And it goes and immediately goes and find the location. Now we can do a medium, or we can go far. So far sort of shows Wellington, medium shows Wellington in a little bit better, but near is usually the one that you want because it's starting to be specific. And again, if you click on that, it will take you to the map. And this is more a demonstration of people who are not familiar with Glide, so it's more about that rather than about all the sexy features that we can actually have. So that's the idea of the map there. And we could, if we wanted to, end up with another component down here, and we could actually just have simple value, or instead of a simple value, we could actually have a markdown. So I'm actually going to do two. I'm going to do the markdown and the simple value, and the simple value is location. Where's location? There we are. And so if we scroll down, there's the location, and it's got open as a link, so that we could, if we actually just clicked on that there, nothing happening. So we just leave that as nothing there at all. So we've just given the location. That's just a simple value, and then we can say well, it's got location, but we can change that to something else if we actually wanted to give a title to the thing, or we can just leave it out. So at the bottom, it just actually has the address there. We can also have a markdown that if you actually want the markdown for location, that comes through there. But in the markdown, if you wanted to use markdown, you could go into here, and in the location, you could, let's just put it as H1, and although this is HTML, you'd actually have to see the markdown for that, but it also works in here. So if I've got H1 and negative H1, and you see it coming through bold through there. So the nice thing with using markdown over simple value is that you can do some adjustments with text size and things. So if I actually wanted to, I could actually just put a break there, and that would have a clear break as to where that actually happens. So you do have a little bit of control over your text if you use markdown. I'm using HTML with that markdown. I shouldn't really be doing that, but it is there. And again, you can use things like, I think it's bold or hash or things, and there's certain things. So you could actually have to look up the script for seeing the markdown for that. So now you see it stayed there. So what you can actually do is reload the sheet. If you reload the sheet, it'll refresh the app based on the updates on the Google Sheet, because the Google Sheets automatically just update, so you don't need to do a save all the time. It automatically saves. But to get Glide to actually do the update, you actually need to just do the reload sheet. So you need to do that. Again, one of the things I just want to point out here is if I wanted to edit the sheet, because it's linked totally to the sheet, I can actually just click edit sheet, and it'll open the sheet in a separate tab so that you can go through and do some adjustments in here. So we're not really interested in that. Go away, because we're using the one on this page here. So that's what it's doing. Now, when we come to the so we've got down that far, we'll blow away that, we'll leave the address in there, although the address isn't in here. We've now got this Kiwi sponsors. Now this Kiwi sponsor is a now here's another thing with this. A lot of the times you can do a thing like a list or tiles or calendar view. You have all these different views. On this one here, just at the very beginning, we are using a details view. That means you can pick a whole lot of different things and add them to the view. These other ones are more specific. It means that you actually must have a repeating structure that repeats itself, and that all the data is in the same format so that you can then adjust it. The calendar is for a time-driven one, and the tiles and the list and the compact lists and the columns are all to just do with you actually have as an example here of something like the sponsors at this level here, all that data is in the same structure. That would work very well in a list or a tile, but it wouldn't work in a calendar because there's no dates attached to this information. So anyway, the next part that we come to, because we've got a details layout on this particular sheet, and again, this might be offensive here. I'm just going to jump away to here. On the top tab, it actually has what the sheets are called. Rather than renaming the sheets on the actual Excel thing here, if you name it here, it doesn't remember in the Glide app the sheet so it doesn't recognize it when you change it. So you have to rebuild it from scratch. The best thing to do is actually go into here and then just say Python X, and that will actually do your title, and it brings it up the top here. Now again, with this one, let's just go into this next tab here, which actually has the sponsors on here. I don't think we need this one, but if I use the close, it hides that sheet away. So whereas I've got lots of different sheets, I'm just going to tab up into here, lots of different, what's that doing there? Go away. Sheets coming through here. I can hide them so that they don't actually show up in the app. So therefore, I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 in there, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in here. So you can actually hide them, but you can reference them. And this is one of the ones that we're using a reference. So in sheet 1, we've got this one, children is equal to sponsors. Sponsors is the tab name. Parent is the column name, and it's multiple, and it's all. So what that's doing is that's to do with categories and subcategories. And this is where this comes in on this particular sheet. This is really saying I'm on this sheet here, but I'm looking on this one, I'm looking across to this one, and I'm taking this data structure through here and I'm presenting it on the other tab. So in here, if I drill down through Platinum, I've got other information based on these information. And this, you will see, if we go back to this one here, is called an inline list. And this is just the way that you do it. And you actually have to see Mark's videos on that inside the Glide apps to actually see how that structure actually occurs. So I'm not going to explain it here. All I'm going to do is just say this is what it is. So I actually have a parent. Now the parent have these children. So all the parent have just got this I've just called the parents all. I could call them duck or rabbit. As long as I call them all duck or rabbit, that's fine. Then on the next sheet over, I would actually just say duck. And this would work fine. So what that's referencing is the next sheet along sponsors. So it's just saying this one. And these are children of this parent. So there's platinum, gold, silver, and in kind. And then we actually have this double linkagey thing. Now the child then comes through into here that I then define, and they become, the child becomes the parent here, and these are the children of this parent. So coming through, I've got all of these different structures through here, and these ones with this description here, children equals sponsors, which is this tab here, column spare parent, multiple, so there can be multiple platinum, there can be multiple gold, silver, or in kind, only display the ones at the top hierarchy. So on this one, we're only displaying these ones here, the top level. There's the next level down that we can see, and all of that information comes through here. And if we go into the app, if we just go back to the top level, we actually have the top level coming through in an inline list. And this values is what we're showing is children, and we're showing the child. We're not showing the parents. If we show the parent, all we'll see is duck, 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 duck. What we want to do is to show the child. So that's why we've got child, because the values, the one that links the sheets together, is children. And we're using a compact list. Now I could use, instead of a compact list, tiles. So if I come into there, we have tiles coming through, and in the tile we can have the logo. I don't think that'll work. I think we've got to use the logo as the image. And then, no, they're still not coming through. Anyway, we can actually have a tile format, a list format coming through, and the image should be the logo. Sometimes they load, sometimes they don't. And then on this one, the image is the logo. I might actually not. So that inline list image logo, that should work, but it's not. So anyway, that's where you've got a choice at this level where I'm in an inline list. So I'm calling the children. So I'm actually calling that column there. Sorry, no, I'm calling sheet 1, and I'm calling that column there called children. And it says go and find everything that starts off with duck. And so it's coming through from there. And then I'm taking the title, which is the name. I'm getting the detail, which is the parent, which I don't want. I want the child. And so if we come through there, and the child is platinum, gold, silver, and in kind, and then I'm using, and now that's the reason I can't use logo, because the logo's on the next drill down. Now you see on here, it's just saying I'm just using the name for the summary. Now the summary gives a big bold bit of text there. And then I've got the image, and I'm using a small image, and I'm saying show the whole image, but it's still not quite pulling it all in at the same level. But if I go to the next level down, I'm actually showing the size as small, and if I click on that image, I can actually add an action and actually say enlarge image. So if I go and click on that, it will just show that image overall. So I can actually add an action to the image if I wanted to. So this is the bit where I've added those ones down. So that's more of a drill down, and to do that you actually need to use the inline list. Now I can't do that with Platinum. So what I do with inline lists is that, one, I don't give it an image, and I just have the hierarchy of those. Now they look a bit spread out, and I actually wanted a more compact one, so I've used a compact list through there, and I don't say show an initial default, and what I actually want to give is the child name. So that's how those have come through into there. And then when you drill down that, it shows multiple events through that. So there's only one gold, and there's 2 platinum, and I think there's 2 in kind that come through there. So those ones come through there, and you click on that, and then you've got some more information, and you've got a link. So again, at this level down, I can actually add a link or a URL. So I've used a button at this level here. So that's how that one there is done. So that's the first one, which is sheet 1. And as I said, for the navigation, we'll actually just take that key pi con x. Should actually change it to KFCX. Anyway, and you see that the next one, sponsors, I've actually hidden that sheet so it doesn't come through. So further down again on this particular sheet, if we go back to screens, we need to be on the screen, which will then show us whichever screen that we regard. So this one's showing programs, this one's showing the first one here. On the screens underneath that, I've then got another image that I've got here, and then I've also got the image as an image that I can enlarge the image, and I've also got it as a button, so that I open it as a link. So if I go onto here, if I click that link, it will show me a large image of the whole campus area, just in case it goes somewhere else. That's how I've done that first sheet. The second one is really just going through. The only thing that's adding here is that there's this idea of favorites. Now, the idea of favorites is that anybody who specifically logs in, they can actually choose favorite ones of certain things that they actually want to add. So if I click on that one, if I add it as a favorite, because I'm logged in under a certain email address, it will remember that for me specifically. You don't need to do that. You can actually just see all the topics that you've actually got. So this one is really just, and if you look at this one, the layout for this one is a calendar. And I've just said the top one is the topic, and the second one is the date time. Now, what I've actually done, if we just go into the program here, there's the date, and I've created a date time, because if you just show, if I go back one, if I just show start time, it will, you see, it's coming on for the next days. So it's showing 9 o'clock on the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday. So it's not doing it. You actually need to give it not only a date, not only a start time, but also a date so that it can order things properly. So this is why I've actually just done a straight concat, which is just adding the date and the start time together, so that I can then put that into a calendar view. Go away. So that's how that works there. So now it's showing Friday, and a list of everything, then Saturday that you can scroll down, and then Sunday for the next one. So, and it does them by order by the time through here. And then I've also ordered so you could do newest first, or you could do oldest first. So that's when it's done. And I've got a search box which I've added at the top through here. I can turn that off and turn that on. And the other one that I've added on here, if we go, is the favorites. And that's because if you go inside the topics, I've added a favorite button here. If you actually add a favorite button there, I've also added a comment button, and I've also added the notion of a form button that you could give a feedback. I'm not too sure whether I've developed that. I haven't done that much information on that one yet, but it's almost like, is there a method of actually, and this was something that I was interested in building, was can you give a specific feedback on a specific topic? And I was interested to see if I could develop that. I don't think the Gangyo has actually done that on his one. Whether he's got a comment that you can add a comment on that, but there isn't a feedback. And I was wondering whether you could actually give a bit of feedback. I think you'd get a bit of consistency about the feedback. But the other idea that I actually thought with the feedback form as well was that you could notionally they could ask a question and they would say, what is everybody's opinion on that? And that could be fed back. So in the feedback form there could be something like question 1 or you know, what is your opinion on this? So you get some comments which is specific about a certain question that the actual presenter actually put forward. So that's where the format is. I've got daytime. I don't actually nearly need daytime in there. And but you can add comments. The comments end up going onto a separate sheet that you can actually do. I don't know if the comments be linked to a specific topic or not. And again, there was topics and abstracts and things, and I've just put some silly numbers and things in here and which lecture theatres they're going to and what they're doing. So this was just me making up things. So it was just building the structure at this point in time just to have something to go through. The contact level was really, there's a committee and it's just using the email components and things like that and linking to information that was on the Python sheet through there. So on the info sheet, there's some information, on the contact sheet, there's some information on that. There's also, what I was also doing to that was I was also linking to the committee members, just so that the committee members could be known. So inside the Glide app, if you go to the committee members, there's all of those ones there. It would be nice to actually have people's faces so that they could be recognised throughout the conference, so that there would be some sort of connection through there. And now the last one that I thought was really cool, which in Gangyo's one, was in fact the social stuff, and the fact that each page showed something different. These two show exactly the same, but this one has a whole lot of other information about things. So what I ended up doing on that one, which was mean and dirty, was I just built a whole lot of extra headers along the top, and the ones that I wanted to use or were on specific pages had certain information. But if they weren't on different pages, if I wanted things on a different page, but I didn't want them on the first page or whatever, I would just make another header. It's a bit of a messy page, but it seems to work okay. So that way you can actually show a lot of different information there, like about this app one, which it's got the getting around Wellington button. I don't know if I need to kill that one off. That shouldn't show on that particular page. So about this app, that's on that page. That shouldn't be on any of the other ones, so that shouldn't actually turn up. That button at the moment it's showing up on there, and it shouldn't. That's interesting, because it's not called through there. But that was the notion of how it works. Anyway, that's just a bit of a simple walkthrough of how I built the app. And again, these are in the tile modes. I could possibly put them into column modes and make those images that way around. I could put them into a list mode and actually have the images through there. I could put them into a compact list mode and have them through there. That's good if you're going to cram a lot of things on there, because again, you haven't got that much real estate on an app. But then I think I just used tiles, which I was able to put just a bit of information underneath there. So the text one was able to deliver a little bit of information just about each particular thing that you wanted to say something about. And maybe this one's a bit more verbose. You can make it shorter and then have a more detailed bit of information further down the line. So I hope that's been of interest to you. It's more about showing how I built the app rather than it being specifically a specific app. And it's also be interesting to see the person that I pass this on to, whether they find this useful way of actually building their app if they haven't seen Glide before. Anyway, thank you very much for watching.